the redemptive state is revealed by facing your fears, not by avoiding them. So as you move through life and you face the hardships and you realize that this is all part of the journey, then you get closer to the redemptive part of your story and you are revealed these things that can bring you back into alignment. For this Torah portion we're reading Vayera, it's called Fall on High in my second book, The Exodus of Darkness. And the first pasuk, the first verse that we're reading this week, God is telling Moshe that the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that he revealed himself as El Shaddai, but not as the Shem Havaya, the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Tetragrammaton, this name that is beyond this universe, that is all mercy, all goodness, that is tapped into the redemptive consciousness. Kulo Tov, Kulo Shabbat, all good and all Shabbat. So it's not tied in to this reality that everything has its polar opposite and we're always being pulled by this. So what he's saying here is that there's levels to revelation, and that Moshe did reach this level. How did he reach it? Yes, initially he thought that he's the least likely to be the redeemer of the Jewish nation, and he had a stutter and he had fear. He ran away from the snake. Eventually, not only did he grab the snake, not from the head, it would be the safest place, but he showed his full faith by grabbing the tail. And that's when he was able to align and interface with God on a different level. And so God is telling Moshe, Lo nodati lahem, that he didn't give them this level of revelation and this knowledge, da'at. How do we acquire this da'at? How do we bring it into our own lives? Last night I heard Roy Asaraf speak. He's a survivor of the Nova Festival, and he's telling his story, and it's horrific. You already know all the things that I can't even talk about that actually happened. As he's surviving, and he finds out later that 13 of his closest friends that he was there, a couple of the DJs, and they all were brutally murdered. One of his friends is still being held hostage. When he did the math and looked at it and zoomed out, 3,000 terrorists coming in, wanting to kill at least 10 Jews, each of them, right? So that's 30,000 Jews. We're not that many in number. And when he saw that 1,400 were murdered, which is horrible, but he was able to look at it in this way that it could have been so much worse. And this is an opportunity for an awakening, for being able to still take a positive perspective and not being held victim and hostage by viewing this as only a tragedy, but also as an opportunity for this hitolud, for this awakening to come back to yourself and to come back into alignment as creations with our Creator. So he's been on tour telling this story of his survival, of the light and love that he's been able to bring out of this darkness. And it was so inspiring to hear. And he said so many of his friends are not able to do that. So they're living in this darkness still, and they're not able to tie themselves to chiyut, to life. Even though they survive, they're still tied to death because they're in this constricted consciousness. So he chose, and he's trying to bring to everybody this redemptive consciousness, bringing the redemptive state by looking at the good in even the most horrible situations and using it as inspiration and power and light to connect back to our source and to only do good and to only bring good into this consciousness and this reality. Shabbat shalom. Love you guys so much.